as you know, I've been living in China for a couple of years now. And when I look back to when I first arrived in China, it's like I'm living two completely different worlds. Language in the beginning was a really big barrier, and without the ability to communicate was super complicated for me. I mean, I couldn't even order a taxi by myself and tell the taxi driver where I wanted to go. I couldn't buy food or ask questions about the food I was buying. I even struggled with language barrier when I was in restaurants ordering food. But now I could consider myself as somewhat half a Chinese. I can navigate my way through the city. I can get myself from point A to point B, asking questions about where we're going. I can order food, I can ask questions about that food, and I can pretty much do anything I need to do without any help. So it wasn't always a smooth transition, because in the beginning, we couldn't communicate. I couldn't communicate with Chinese people, and they couldn't communicate back to me. They were speaking, I wasn't understanding, and I was speaking and they weren't understanding. So even though now my life is convenient and comfortable, before I really experienced all these struggles, and I really wish that someone would have told me about the things I would have experienced here in China before I came, and that's why I'm making this video. Because if you want to come to China too, then I believe how you adapt really depends on you, but I know that some information will always be helpful. But before we begin, stop, hold up, click the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to support your girl. Now let's get going. Before we go any further, I want to mention something that's really important, and that is not to be afraid of the language barrier. If you are coming to China, you're gonna be fine. You'll pick up some words and some sentences and you'll totally be able to manage it. But also, you will be able to speak a little bit of English here, as some of the younger generations do speak English. And sometimes, although it's very rare, you can actually meet someone who can speak English fluently. But taxi drivers, bus drivers, shop assistants, and almost anyone else you come across in your day-to-day life don't speak or understand any English. But I have figured out a way to deal with it, because now I can understand some Chinese and I can also speak a little bit of basic Chinese. So now I'm going to share with you my story and some tips and tricks about how to deal with the language barrier here in China. Okay, so we just came to Starbucks now and we got a cup of coffee, and we were trying to show you now like how I normally order my coffee, but they didn't allow us to film. And like it was actually the most perfect example, because like that was the language barrier that I experience every day here in China. So I'll show you how I actually did it. I took a photo of the menu and then I zoomed in on what I want, and I pointed to her like, I want this one. But I could only do this because this one has Chinese and English on it. So normally, like if you go to KFC or McDonald's, then you'll find this like Chinese and English on the menu, but it's not always like that, because actually in China, everything else is in Chinese. Menus, street signs, posters, the maps, everything else is in Chinese. But I do have the solution, so here comes my crash course. Come here. So the best solution is actually to find yourself a Chinese lover. No, I'm just kidding. Like if you do have a Chinese friend or a Chinese language partner to help you along the way, of course that is going to be useful too. But if not, then of course, like I said, all restaurants and stuff do normally have pictures, and pictures can be really, really informative. And like besides that, you can actually go on to WeChat and use the WeChat Translate. It allows you to take a photo and actually translate what you want, and then you can read like whatever the Chinese says all in English, and then decide what you want to order. So let me show you what that looks like. So for example, if I was hungry now and I wanted to order McDonald's, I would go onto my phone and actually go onto the Logen app, which actually doesn't have English and Chinese like I told you. So in stores they have the English and Chinese, but on apps they don't have that, so it's all in Chinese. So I would go onto the Logen app and I would scroll to find the golden M, and I would find that. And then I would look at the pictures and choose what I want to eat. I think this is the chicken burger, and then there's obviously options for cool drinks and chips and stuff like that, which I don't understand because it's all in Chinese. So then I would screenshot it and I will go ahead to WeChat and I will translate the image and then figure out which one do I want to order. So yeah, I'll translate it now, and So there's hot milk, there's black tea, there's cola, and there's chips or there's corn. So then I can go back to Ulema and I can choose which one I want. So I want a cola and I want the chips, and then I can add it to my cart. So it does take a little bit longer than like what you would normally think delivery takes, like just to quickly order it, but it's not that much of a hassle, and it's super convenient because now I can actually order the food, where before like I wouldn't have known what to do without these little tips and tricks. I wouldn't have known what to do. I would have been like, oh my word, how am I gonna order takeaways? But now I've figured out a way to do it, so it makes my life easier, and now I can actually get my McDonald's to my door. So besides WeChat, I do also suggest you download yourself a translation app. Personally, I use Google Translate, and that's actually how I taught myself how to say I don't speak Chinese, and now I can say it. 我不会说中文. So translation apps are really actually useful when you're out and about and you want to ask questions, or if you need something in a restaurant, you can always type in the sentence that you want in the translation app and it will come up. So I will show you, for example, if I need a spoon in a restaurant, I don't know how to ask that, so I will then just type like I want a spoon in the Google Translate, and then it will show me the Chinese characters. So if I don't want to speak it out, then I can just show the Chinese characters and the person will get what I'm saying. But sometimes this like a sentence translation doesn't 100% translate correctly, so then you actually have to go ahead and then translate like one word. So then I can just go ahead and type in just a spoon, and maybe they will get it. So there's just like one character, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, you want a spoon. So those are really helpful, but that's not like the tip top of the iceberg. I think that the best advice to you is to actually learn some basic Chinese, because that way you can do what you need to do on your daily life and you can get along with your life without always having to ask friends or always using translation apps. So let's get on to important Chinese words you should know. So my tip top 2, and they are my favorite sentences to say, is I don't understand and I don't speak Chinese. So I don't speak Chinese is 我不会说中文, and I don't understand is 我听不懂. So it's really funny actually when I use those two for many like times over and over again, funny things would happen. So I would like say to an old man 我不会说中文, and he would then say like 哦，你中文这么好, and I would be like, I just said I don't speak Chinese and now you're speaking Chinese to me. And also sometimes when I say like I don't understand, 我听不懂, then someone will then again say like, oh, where are you from in Chinese, like 你是哪里人? And it's just really funny to encounter these things, like you're saying you don't understand and you don't speak the language, and then they continue to talk to you. So another one of my favorite sentences to use is 我要 and 我不要, which means I want and I don't want. So 要 means want, and the 我 means I, right? So 我要 and the 我不要, those are really useful, and you can then go and teach yourself some ways to say other words with your translation app. So for example, if you want the word bag, you can then translate the word bag, and then you can say 我要袋子, which is bag. So you can play around with that, and if you don't want to play around, then you can use the word this, which is 我要这个. So if you want this in the store, you can point to it and you say 我要这个, and if you don't want something, you go 我不要这个. So it allows you then to actually use the language in an easier way. Another really easy one to learn is how much, and that we say 多少钱. So this is really nice when you go to the store. You can actually ask someone how much is something, and then alongside that goes your numbers. 1 to 10 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then from there you can actually learn how to count up. So for example, 28, you would say 2 plus 10 and then 8. So you would say 28, and if you want to learn up to 100, you would use the word 百. So 100, which is 100, 190, which is 190. For example, if you wanted to buy a bottle of water and you wanted to ask how much it is, so you could grab the bottle of water and you could say 哎你好, which is hello, 这个多少钱, which is this, how much money, like how much does it cost. So let me repeat that one more time. 哎你好, 这个多少钱? And they would say 4块, which means 4 yuan. So the kuai is actually their measure word for money, just like dollars or something, like $4. They say 4块. So don't forget that when you go to the store, because I was really confused in the beginning. I was like, why are they always throwing this word behind the money? but now I understand that it's their measure word for money. So, although I really love Chinese and I'm learning new words on the daily and I'm loving that I'm immersing myself into the culture here, it is really difficult, and there is a reason why it's so difficult, and that is because Chinese language has 4 tones and they are really difficult to get them under your belt and to like actually get them right. But don't worry, because most of the time Chinese people do put whatever you're saying to them into context and they will try and understand you. So even though you like learn the sentence and your tones are completely wrong, chances are the Chinese people here will still understand you. So that doesn't matter, like tones don't really matter that much in my opinion, but if you ace them, then good for you. If you don't, that's okay, keep trying. I'm no expert in Chinese, I'm learning every day still, and my tones are completely trash. My coffee is finished, so let's go outside and get some fresh air and have a walk. So the point of this video wasn't necessarily to teach you guys Chinese, but just to highlight the tips and tricks that help you to overcome the language barrier. They help me differently, and now I can live my daily life here quite comfortably, talk to people, ask questions. So if you like this video, please be sure to give it a like, leave some love in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!